This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutastrophe, and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the birthday boy for today, May the 27th, is a baseball icon. A couple years ago, I did Frank Thomas as a birthday boy. This birthday boy actually was born the same year, 1968, and the same date, May 27th, as Frank Thomas. But this guy was huge for the Houston Astros, becoming their first superstar, really big superstar, and played all 15 years as an Astro. He actually was traded in one of the most lopsided trades in baseball history. Not the most, but one of the most. He helped Houston qualify many times for the playoffs and got them to the World Series in 2005. He has many franchise records, including 449 home runs. His name, Jeff Bagwell. So Jeff Bagwell was born in Boston as the only son of Janice and Robert. And they moved to Connecticut. Of course, being from the Boston area, you had to be a Boston Red Sox fan. And growing up, Jeff Bagwell was a giant Karl Yastrzemski fan. Unfortunately, his parents were divorced. However, he did do well playing baseball. And then, well, Bagwell actually was a better soccer player than baseball player. The University of Hartford offered Bagwell a scholarship in spite of baseball not being Bagwell's primary sport. But he accepted it. With the lack of professional soccer in the States, he decided to go for it. So anyway, playing at the University of Hartford, he did quite well for himself. And was drafted in the 4th round of the '89 baseball draft by the Red Sox, which was amazing. It was like the Red Sox, the hometown team, got him. So he was playing well for Double-A and was the Eastern League's MVP. Boston had problems because they were trying to find some good relief pitching for their stretch run as they were battling the Blue Jays in the AL East. And Boston knew that Houston had Larry Anderson, Andersen, and Anderson was going to be a free agent. One of the Astros scouts recommended they ask for Bagwell in return and all that. The Astros hesitated, saying that, the Double-A ballpark where Bagwell played you can't really hit home runs in that park. Even Babe Ruth couldn't, as he quit. The Red Sox took the Astros offer and really made it huge. In 2001, ESPN named the Bagwell for Anderson deal the second worst in history, behind Babe Ruth being traded to the Yankees. Although Babe Ruth was kind of getting big for his purchase, and Boston didn't really want to keep him around. But here's the thing: the Astros were happy they got this deal. The Astros were happy. I mean, there were rumors that Phil Plantier, I can't remember, or Scott Cooper would have went the other way to Houston, but they didn't want to. Boston screwed up because they basically valued Phil Plantier over Jeff Bagwell. Anderson did well in the stretch, helping Boston win the AL East from the Blue Jays. Well, the Jays kind of choked that thing. They got swept in the ALCS, and then Anderson was deemed a free agent and left for, I can't remember who he left for. Oh, he left for San Diego because I had his baseball card in '91. It was Larry Anderson to the Padres, and then Anderson a couple years later would still be pitching. He would pitch in '93 for the Phillies. So the trade made sense and all that. Yeah, it made sense because Wade Boggs was at third base. Tim Naring and Scott Cooper were high on the organization's depth chart. And Bagwell did see first base, but Mo Vaughn blocked it. I mean, it made sense. But Boston didn't foresee Boggs leaving a couple years later for New York. And Mo Vaughn was a good first baseman. Bagwell was just amazing for Houston and all that. Spent all 15 years in an Astros uniform. Not the record. I think Craig Biggio has that record. And, Biggio alongside Bagwell never played for another team. He was part of the Killer Bees. As a duo, Bagwell and Biggio, between '94 and 2003, they went to 9 All-Star games, 5 Gold Gloves, got to be the top 5 MVP 5 times, and got a lot of runs. Combined, they hit 689 home runs in those 10 years. In their in their careers and 2,485 RBIs, getting the Astros to the postseason 6 times. Bagwell had an unusual batting style. He would wait in a low crouch with legs wide open and knees bent 90 degrees, saying that he was sitting on a... Well, his low crouch actually shrunk his strike zone, and he was 6 foot tall, so... Anyway, yeah. He was invited to Major League Camp in Houston in 91, and Bagwell infused him with his play, realizing he might go to AAA. However, well, the Astros had a problem. Ken Caminiti was at third base, so they decided to give Bagwell a chance to play for first base. He had a crash course, and he did pretty well. And Bagwell made the club without going to AAA, and made his Major League debut on opening day, which was fun. But May 6, his first ever home run, was an upper deck shot at Three Rivers Stadium off Bob Kipper. And it was a pitch hitting appearance. He hit it at 456 feet. Bagwell would do quite well, batting .294 with 15 home runs, 82 RBIs, and named the NL Rookie of the Year, becoming the first Astros player to be a Rookie of the Year. It looked very awesome and all that. So, anyway. Ozzie Smith actually helped him out. As Bagwell has it going, Bagwell says, "I'm struggling with my backhand." And Smith replied, "Well, here's what you do. You can't feel the ball deep. You have to get out in front of it." And, he got the lesson and he did pretty well. Bagwell would improve, batting .273 with 18 home runs, 96 RBIs. And then he went .320 with 20 home runs, 88 RBIs. He was doing pretty well in mid-September. Unfortunately, a pitch ended up breaking his left hand. A pitch hitting that same bone. However, Bagwell got a 1-year, $2.4 million contract in '94. However, he turned that into an MVP caliber season. He was just on fire and all that. He would be hitting home runs and all that. He actually had 81 RBIs going into the All-Star break, tying the Major League mark at, well, for '94 with Puckett. Bagwell went 2 for 4 in the All-Star game, and then he got to 100 RBIs by July 27th. By the time August happened, by the time of that stupid baseball strike, he batted .368 with 39 home runs on 116 RBIs. He led the major leagues in slugging, RBI, and total bases, and was the NL leader in runs scored and OPS. Bagwell would finish second in the batting title to Tony Gwynn, second in home runs to Matt Williams, who was on course to smash Maris's mark before the strike. But he was the RBI leader, so Bagwell did quite well for himself. .368, 39 home runs, 116 RBIs. He looked pretty good and all that. He set some Astro records and was unanimously given the NL MVP award, becoming the first Astro to do so. It was amazing. Bagwell got a 4-year, $27 million deal because of that. Of course, this is '94 money in the '90s. His peak would be huge and all that. Unfortunately, in '95, for the third time in 3 seasons, a pitch broke a bone in Bagwell's left hand. Bagwell actually decided to wear a heavily padded protective batting glove from here on out. He did miss 30 games, but still got 21 home runs. So, anyway, Bagwell looked pretty good at all that. Bagwell had a good gym regimen and all that. He once hit 4 doubles in 1 game, which tied a Major League record. So, anyway, he finished 9th MVP before in 1996. Larry Dierker came from the booth of the Astros thing to be the manager and all that. So, anyway, the Astros did well in Well, in the 5 years that Durker was manager, they won the division 4 times, but didn't advance past the first round. In 97, Bagwell finally got his chance to be in the playoffs, and he was actually the first full-time first baseman to go the 30-30 club, 30 home runs, 30 steals in one season. He took third in MVP voting. So anyway, Bagwell did pretty well. 98, they got to the playoffs, but the Padres took him out. In 99, he had a 40-30 season, 40 home run, 30 steal season, and was MVP runner-up. In fact, the 99 Astros used 8 players with the letter B. Bagwell, Paul Bacco, Glenn Barker, Derek Bell, Sean Berkman, Lance Berkman, Craig Biggio, and Tim Bogart. I'm surprised Tim Bogart was still around. But anyway, yeah. He broke the in 99, the Astros all-time home run record set by Jimmy the Toy Cannon Wynn. And he did pretty good. So he walked 6 times in one game against the Marlins, but that was 16 innings. Houston looked decent, but lost to the Braves. So Chipper Jones, ironically enough, would win the MVP as he took down Bagwell in the playoffs. But in 2000, it looked pretty good. He actually set a mark. 152 runs. He crossed the plate 152 times, breaking the National League record. It actually was the most since Lou Gehrig in 1936. He did quite well at scoring things. And he got a 5-year, $85 million contract out of it. 2001, he would progress, getting 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, 100 walks. After the season, he had surgery to remove bone spurs and to reconstruct a partially torn labrum. And then he would start having arthritis in his right shoulder. Anyway, yeah. Bagwell had a touching moment in 2002. Before the Astros played the Padres on August 27th, he met with an 11-year-old bone cancer patient named Stephen Rail, who asked him to hit a home run. Bagwell hit a home run over the left field wall and pointed to the child in the stands when he made his home run trout. He looked pretty good for himself. ESPN in 2003 actually named Jeff Bagwell the second most underrated player of the top 4 sports leagues, like baseball, basketball, football, and hockey. He was very underrated, that's for sure. Bagwell helped Houston beat the Braves in the 2004 playoffs, finally winning a playoff series in their franchise history. A lot of people will be like, wait a minute, they went to the NLCS in 80 and 86. True, but that was before the wild card round happened. So basically, if you won the division, you would be in the NLCS. But now you're in the wild card round, where there's 4 teams fighting for one spot. Anyway, Bagwell got to the NLCS, but the Cardinals beat Astros in 7, even though Houston had a 3-2 series lead. Unfortunately, he would have health issues because of his chronic arthritis in his shoulder. He was a defensive liability. And all of that. And the Astros looked like it was going to be huge. He had his last Major League home run against Greg Maddux April 29th, 2005. He basically tried to play through the pain, but he couldn't do it. Bagwell could not throw from his surgery, but he was made in September as a pinch hitter, so he was symbolic and all that. Bagwell and Biggio finally made it to the World Series after Houston got their revenge on St. Louis. Bagwell was made DH because, well, you're playing in an American League ballpark and you don't have to be on the field. The White Sox actually outscored the Astros in the 2005 World Series by only 6 runs, the lowest scoring differential in World Series history. Wow, I did not know that. But yeah, Bagwell was kind of a liability, unfortunately. So he decided to retire in 2006. anyway, he officially retired in 2006. So Bagwell was just iconic. So iconic, the next season, on August 26, 2007, his number 5 would be retired, becoming the 8th player in Astros history to get his number retired. It was coincidental and all that. So Bagwell got his number. The Astros decided to hire Bagwell as their hitting coach. And all that. The team marginally improved, but couldn't do enough for Bagwell to return as hitting coach. So he got voted into the Hall of Fame in 2017 on his 7th year of eligibility. He got to the Hall of Fame with 86%. He is one of the top 10 wins above replacement by a first baseman, trailing only Lou Gehrig, Albert Pujols, Jimmy Fox, Cap Anson, and Roger Connor. Of course, Anson and Connor played before the 25th century. So, but Bagwell was just a legend and all that, becoming the only first baseman in history to hit 400 home runs and 200 stolen bases, and one of 21 players to win both Rookie of the Year and MVP in his season. So he did a lot of jobs. He got his number retired by the Astros. He's number 2017. Well, in 2017, he got to the Baseball Hall of Fame, Rookie of the Year, MVP. He was pretty impressive. So anyway, he had a lot of NL top 10s, especially in walks, 12 times. He has the Astros record for batting average, walks, home runs, runs scored, and slugging percentage. But he would have a 6-year streak of 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, 100 runs, and 100 walks. So he still has the NL record for runs scored in a 2-season mark with 295. And, you know, he did his job. Twice he was part of the 30-30 club. Hit for the cycle a couple times. So yeah, you know, right. He's married to his 3rd wife, having 5 children in a blended family. So Jeff's 2 daughters and Rachel's 3 children are blended. All that. So anyway, Bagwell almost caught his boyhood hero Carl Yastrzemski for home runs, only losing 452 to 449. So anyway, Bagwell actually is a recovering alcoholic and struggling with addiction. So that's cool. Jeff Bagwell, yeah, very underrated for me. For me, I think Bagwell's one of the best first basemen in the 90s and of all time in the National League. I mean, this guy is iconic, and fight me on it. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond.